Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and tonight I'm going to do a live stream to go over the photos I captured back in June when I shot film for a day with my Leica R8. Now, I'm going to kind of just give you a little dialogue here for a minute while some people join the stream. Hassan's in first. Now what, Bass Angler? I think Hassan waits on the streams to spool up. I think he's sitting there with his finger on the join button. Oh, good to see you in here tonight. First in, first comment and everything. Oh, that's hilarious. Let's see. Can I do this? Good evening. How you doing? Nope. Come on. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pin your message for a minute. That way, if Bass Angler does join, he'll find it. Now, I have a few subjects to go over. One of which is my NovaFlex lens adapter that is currently on my SL2, coupling this Nikkor 500mm phase Fresnel to it. And it's an electronic adapter that I paid a handsome sum of money for, that allows you to have autofocus and aperture control on those lenses. That's all it allows, but it does allow it, and it works. It works reasonably well. The focus isn't fast like Nikon's focus. If I put the Z50 on that lens, it's 1,000 times faster. But at the end of the day, this adapter, I just don't use it. So I put it on eBay and sold it. I'm going to go ahead and... No secrets given. Oh, that's funny. I put this on eBay and sold it. And then I sent it to a gentleman, the winner of the auction, of course. And he put it on his SL3, which is a next generation newer camera. And he put it also with, I think it was the 24-70 Series E lens. And this is supposed to be for the Series E lenses, Nikkor E series. And unfortunately, it didn't work. He was getting a communication error. So I refunded his money. He sent it back. So, you know, we kind of nulled the whole engagement. So I now have my adapter again. But I'm going to segue with that into what I'm going to do with it past this. I'm not going back to eBay with it. That was too much of a headache. So now that I have figured out that eBay is a hassle... It's not a hassle if you're buying stuff, but it's become a hassle if you're selling your stuff. Their rate now, when you sell something on there, they get something on the order of, I think I mathed it, like 15%. It's a lot. It's way past that 3.5% they used to get. And so... they ended up clearing $35, $40 on this adapter because this thing's, I sold it for like $350, which is cheaper than what it should go for. These are very expensive adapters. NovaFlex is a really high-end camera equipment manufacturer in Germany, but I let it go for that. And then they, like I said, they got like $35. Well, the guy got his refund. They kept their $35. So, you know... Yeah. DeWitt Hay says KEH. I've used KEH in the past, and KEH does good. They do you right. I mean, you know, they're a retailer buying your equipment, so they're going to pseudo lowball you. They're not going to give you, because they got to make something on it too, and they have to spend the time like checking it and certifying it, making sure it works and all that sort of stuff before they put it back out on the shelf. So yeah. That's why you don't get as much with KEH and Roberts or Use Photo Pro or the place that I'm thinking about trying out next, MPB. Now, okay, Hassan says I usually get more from MPB than KEH. And that's not why I'm going to them. The reason I'm going to them, let me just pull it up on the good old interwebs here. Let me get my mouse over here to the screen. Too many screens now. I have so many screens that I have the trouble of keeping... I'm going to have to make the mouse bigger just so I can see it. I'm going to show you just exactly. Okay, they just got some Canon gear in. There you go, right there. Yep, it remembered me. And we're still loading the page. Yeah, here we go. Now, picture in picture. Transition. Here is why they have Nikon ZF cameras in like new condition, $250 cheaper. And they stand behind them. So why should I pay $2,000 for one when I can get it for $1,750? And I'm going to use it. I'm going to shoot with it. So if it's got a tiny little scuff in the corner somewhere, I don't care. I jokingly say, where's my CL? It's still in the camera bag. Is it? There's a huge ring light right here, and it's really bright. But I'm going to switch back over. I don't see it right now. But there's a, well, I can show you on here. On Leica cameras, they've got the lugs made into the housing. And on that CL, the paint has a little scuff on that paint. That was my like $800 scratch. Seriously, I got the camera that much cheaper because it had that tiny little scratch right there on the corner of it. So that motivated me right then to buy second-handed from them, because I'm going to immediately scratch it. There's no doubt in my mind that's going to happen. So, oh look, Woody Mallory's here. Hey, how you doing? Good, glad you're in the house. But yeah, they've got, and they have a bunch of them. I mean, we click see more. These are all ZFs. They have a bunch of them. People have bought them, and then they didn't like them for some reason and traded them into MPB, so they have a ton of these things. But yeah, you can get them like new for $1,750. $1,760 comes with some kind of cheapo L bracket. I don't care about the L bracket. I'm not doing landscape with it, so the L bracket's a non-issue to me. I do want to get one of the little wooden grips that's got the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom, because I just like the way it looks. I'm going to get one. Supposedly you can get one from Newer, and it has the red line like the DSLRs had. So it kind of brings that aesthetic into the game. I watched a video from somebody today or yesterday that had a grip from Amazon, I think it was, and it had the red trim like they put on the DSLRs. That's there. Oh, y'all got, but you will still get more from private than a retailer, in my opinion. Yeah, if you find somebody that needs it. This device is kind of specialized, so but I've got a couple of lenses I'm going to part with, and they'll pretty well finance this camera and a couple more lenses to come back. I'm gonna let go of something that has lived down here in a Pelican case for several years now, and I've gotten it out probably 2 times in 3 years and shot with it. And it's the Nikkor 200 millimeter micro Nikkor f4. I've used that lens just a handful of times. For some reason, I was convinced that I was going to use that lens all the time shooting product photography. And what it turns out is it's too long of a focal length. Because what I end up doing is shooting on my crop sensor cameras. And because they take, I mean, when you down res an image to 600 by 800 for internet usage, the crop sensor camera photos work just fine, especially if you're shooting with, strobes. I'm shooting studio strobes, so I'm shooting base ISO, and I'm lighting it until I get the exposure I want, and so there's no noise in the pictures, and they're still 24 megapixel, which means I got to down res the crap out of them. So I use this little 100 millimeter Minolta, I think it is. Might be a Pentax Asahi. I think it's a Honeywell or yeah, I think it's Honeywell Asahi. It's a Pentax 100 millimeter or 105. I think it's a 100 millimeter macro. So that's become my product photography lens, and it works beautifully for that. Smaller, lighter, cheaper, significantly cheaper. But this lens now just sits down in this case. I used to use it with my D810 when I first bought it, because it's a screw drive focus lens and it worked well with that camera. Since I've gotten rid of the D810, it's a manual focus only lens. Of course, if you're shooting legit macro, it would be handy to have, but I rarely ever shoot macro, ever. So it's just a huge waste sitting down there in that case. So it's on the chopping block. It's heading out. I'll be probably sending it out, and another lens that I thought I would use more than I actually do, which is the 24-90. That's a Leica SL 24-90 SL, variable zoom. I just don't use it. It just sits up here on the shelf. I got it out and took it on the trip when I went last year up to Maggie Valley. I got it out and shot a few photos that day with it. And I've used it a handful of times in the 2 or 3 years I've owned it. It sees almost no use. So it's going away. And those 2 lenses alone will probably generate plenty of funds to finance the ZF and a couple of lenses to go with it. Because I really think I want the 50mm f1.8 S lens. It's kind of like the 50mm Summicron, but made by Nikon. And I want that little 40mm, and I would also like that 28, the retro lenses. I think the 28's full frame. It came out when the ZFC did, but I think they made it a full frame lens. I don't know. Hey, there's Ulrich. How you doing? Finally caught you live. So good to see you. Put a fresh roll into the Yashica Electro to shoot in sunny weather here. I sent Ulrich my old Yashica Electro 35 because I just wasn't using it and it was just going to waste. And I had it stored and I just didn't want it to see it die, and he was interested in it, so I just mailed it to him. I got another roll of film. We're going to get into the pictures I took back in June here in just a minute, but this roll of film is Easy Clicks. And it says that you should develop it before March 2008. So you have to, since it's almost 20 years expired, I think you have to shoot it 2 stops overexposed. Grainy Days talked about this recently. Because he shoots a lot of expired film. But it's color film. I think it's C41 process. Yeah, process C41. It's DX coded, so the R8 will detect it and know that it's it's ISO 200, and it's 24 exposure. But yeah, 200 speed, color print film. So I'm gonna shoot this. We'll develop it and see what we get. You never know. Maybe they'll come out. They might not. They might. Whoa, getting rid of the 24-90. Makes sense if you don't use it. Yeah, it is an outstanding lens. I'm going to tell you something else it is. It's heavy. It's very heavy. I don't remember how many pounds it weighs, but it weighs in pounds. It is such a heavy mechanism. It has 2 focus motors. I don't remember how they're configured, but it does. It has 2 focus motors, 2 servos in it to drive it. So to get it to where it focuses fast. A whole lot of hardware there. But I just don't shoot with it. It just sits on that shelf. When I shoot the Sacred Harp Singers, I get that 105 f2 DC out and shoot with it. I'm thinking about looking, once I get this ZF, I'll probably just look at getting a 105 f1.4. They make the new one, and see about, I know they made a F mount 105, like f1.4, and is there a 1.4 or a 2? I don't remember. But it's a newer version, so I'll look at getting one of them to go with it, and then I can have autofocus. Using it manual focus, it works, and I've kind of gotten into the flow. I put it on the SL2, and I've done it so much I've learned it, and I can shoot with it, and it's a fun lens to shoot with. I mean, it takes glorious photos, but it'd be nice occasionally just to have autofocus, and especially with eye detect, it'd just make it so easy. It'd be, as Ray Soldano says, it's almost like cheating. Hello, Pam. How you doing? Thank you for dropping by. If anyone knows where Bass Angler is, let him know he's a slacker. I did ping him before I spooled up the stream in case he wanted to join us tonight. Let me get this over here. Hassan, you have been upgraded officially. Keep an eye on the chat for me. Let's see. Oh, by the way, congrats on 6,000 subs. Thank you. Yes, I finally crossed 6,000 subscribers the other day. It got to $59.99, and it took it probably 3 hours to get that 6,000 subscribers so I could get the screenshot for the picture. I'd check it, and I'd check it. I had done reserved myself that it had went over. I was going to Photoshop zeros in. I was going to cheat, but I actually did get it on the level. So finally caught you live. Okay, made my mouse bigger 2 days ago. What a life changer. Woody, are you still in the chat? If you are, can you explain what? Did you make your house bigger and it's a typo? Curious to know what that's about. C2C Disciples in the house. How you doing? You picked up a ZF off a used Photo Pro for less than $1,500. Wow. Yeah, I looked on used Photo Pro. They didn't have any. Apparently they come in and go right back out. I'll check them then, because this is the best deal I could find so far. I've looked everywhere. Once I found out that MPB had them, I started checking the other sites, and nobody had them. I guess they were just flipping them so fast. You was one of the first subscribers. Yeah, you and Bass Angler. Let me think. There was somebody else that was here the other day that commented that I remembered was there from the early days when my videos were truly horrific. 12,000 frames ain't nothing, especially on a mirrorless and don't have a shutter. Well, it might have a shutter in it. I don't know. But it's still, that's nothing. I mean, you still got decades of life left in that camera. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, these, they don't list the shutter count. I noticed that. Yeah. Oh, and if y'all haven't done it, hit the like button. And if you like my channel, subscribe to it. And there's a little hearts in the chat. You can hit that too. Not sure what all that does, but I'm sure it does something with that algorithm thing. Oh, algorithm announcement time. Leica SL2, 50mm Summicron L, 500mm phase Fresnel Nikon. Keywords so that the algorithm can pick it up. Photography. But yeah, this will also be going. That way I can turn it into some kind of form of revenue, because I'm not going to use it. Once I get another Nikon full frame camera body, I'll just mount that 500 to that camera and not worry about putting it on the SL2. And in the future, I like the primes for the SL2. I don't care for the zooms. They're big and heavy. They're just heavy. They do take beautiful photos, but I'd like to get maybe that 28mm Summicron prime. And seriously, maybe a 90 or 105mm at some point. But yeah, I thought about, seriously, I think there's a 105mm Sigma art lens that'll also fit the SL2 that would work really well for that sort of venue that I shoot. Oh yeah, David Mascoro, if I'm pronouncing that right. He's talking about the Leica Electro 35 GSN. It's like they're so underrated. They take beautiful photos. They have beautiful lenses in them. That's true. He says, I'm a Nikon user, but I still have 2 of those Yashicas. Yeah, they're great cameras. I just wasn't using it, and I just didn't. I had replaced the pad in it that makes it have the pad of death that fires the shutter. It's got like a little felt pad that dampens the shutter somehow. And I had dismantled the camera meticulously so that I wouldn't damage it, and replaced that little piece of felt. You might still have to push the shutter a little bit harder than normal, but it worked. It brought it back where it would fire. Oh, there, the chat has took off now. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all have the chat because you have side conversations. But oh, I see. I got to remember to do that occasionally. I didn't realize I was still running the web page full bore here. But yeah, those. But I've got an email in to MPB right now. I'm talking to them about maybe doing some collaboration with them. Because what I'd like to do is borrow one, do a video with it, give them some street cred for doing it. MPB, if you're listening, talking about you. Because I see where people get loaner cameras. There's a bunch of Nikon ZF reviews, and they've been loaned the camera by Nikon Australia and Nikon Canada and whatever. So I'm going to see if they'll loan me one of these, since they have literally a 5-gallon bucket full of them. And I'll review it, and if it plays out like I like, I'll just send them the money instead of the camera and just keep it. But I thought that was an interesting thing. Let's see here. Let me get rid of this. And then let me zoom these up. Okay. I don't know if I can auto rotate these. Let's see. Yeah, I can. There we go. Let's save it. Save. Yeah. Now. And it's updating. There it goes. All right. Cheap plastic one. I've got the 40mm f2. I want that one. Even though it's plastic, I think I want it just because of its, aesthetic. Hassan says, thinking of picking up the 7 Artisans 35 f2 too. Is that an autofocus lens? I bet it is. Mark Hama, I believe, lives in Georgia, worked for Yashica in Japan, and now works on them in Georgia. Really? Huh. Had no idea. Interesting. But back in June, there's an event in amateur radio called Field Day. And on that day, I decided to get out my Leica R8 film camera and load it up with a roll of Ilford HP5, which is black and white film. And I shot the whole day with this camera. And if you watch the live stream that I did, probably live stream 5, maybe 6, I think it was 5. The battery was dead in the camera. I got it out to show off the camera's shutter sound. But I loaded it up and I shot all day that day with it, because a lot more happened that day than just amateur radio field day. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look. These are the scans directly from the, what's it called? The processor. The company I used is out of Nashville, Tennessee, and they're called Third Man Photo. Now, it's a little shop in Nashville. They done the developing, then they scanned them for me, and I had them do the scans. I think they're 24 megapixel scans. I'm pretty sure. Let me check. Let me just transition it over here. Here's the folder. Let's get rid of... There's a way to get rid of this panel. I don't remember. We just pull it over and shrink it some. But, oh, I think it's that. No, that ain't it. That takes you to the folder. I know there's a way of hiding this. I don't remember what it was. Is that it? No, God, that changed everything. There it is. Now, okay. Let's look at properties. Image. 6,000 by 4,000. Yeah, they're 24 megapixel scans. I got the big scans. I just thought, why not? I just want to see what the quality of their work is. So we zoom in on them. Let's make them full screen. All right. He's out of focus because I failed at focusing. You can see his shirt's sharp right here. He's back focused just a little, or front focus. The shirt's in focus. But it was real dim light, and I was shooting wide open at f2. But it's still a cool picture. This is my brother-in-law, Stacy. Let's see. Where's this button? All right, and then I went to Chattanooga to meet my daughter for breakfast. And so while I was walking down the street from parking, I took a few street photos. So if we zoom in on this, Ilford HP5 is real grainy, I've found. I'm shooting, I think, 400 speed. But yeah, you know, it's pretty cool. You got some graffiti in the background. Get it back to where it's full screen. There it is. And then we got in the restaurant, and I started taking some photos of just what was going on, like we were waiting to get our table. And then that one's out of focus pretty bad. And there's a big scratch on the scan. Look at that. So that's stuff you get with getting scans by somebody else. And you can see I missed focus again because I moved apparently, because I focused on her eye and her eye was sharp, but you can see her earrings in focus now. And her eye's out. Yeah, it figures. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I mean, I'm shooting film. It's kind of hard to tell. That's the truck I was driving that day. Thought I'd just take a picture down the street, you know. This is the old Hamilton Auto Parts. And look how they've bricked up these windows. And then they've replaced these lately, but this building is in really rough shape. I don't know if the inside is technically usable or not, but it's, you know, it's still there. But I document photo. That's an AC Autolite logo, like the spark plug company. Yeah, this was I think it was like a distributor, an auto parts distributor back in the day. But, you know, and then a couple of frames of that. Now I'm at the field day site, and I'm just snapping photos of the field day site. This is Roger and Virgil. And then, of course, a radio on the table. Roger tuning on an antenna across the field, and his radios. My radio. Notice it has a wireless mouse and keyboard. Now, them set up. What happens at field day is everybody operates overnight. And so you got that. And then he's operating a 10 Tech Scout. It's kind of a neat little rig. He's using, I think, an FT857. Rodney just checked in and said he's covered up. He's got a bunch of stuff he's trying to get done. He can't come. Let's see. Notice how he's holding the leads on the battery so they can play with the radio and check it out. He's listening to headphones so he doesn't have to listen to the jabber and the Morse code. If you watch the video, you can tell kind of how chaotic it can get when you got two people operating single sideband with someone operating Morse code. You start running over each other, and headphones are a big help. And then this was after church that night. They're doing what is called as a singing school. And it's really dimly lit in the fellowship hall, even though there's fluorescent lights everywhere. I don't know why, but it is. So there they are, all paying attention to the lesson. Oh, look at that. Let's flip the plane there. We had a dinner afterwards. Then we went back to field day. Now this is the 10 meter station. And then I failed to get photos of the gentleman that runs the 10 meter station, but I went back and got some low light photos because I was just messing around with the camera to see what can HP5 do in low light. Turns out it can do pretty good if you get the focus. Look at that. You can read all that little text. I was kindly impressed by that, actually. But the plane of focus is pretty shallow at f2. I was kind of shocked at how shallow the depth of field was. But I wanted to see what if I was to what I done was pinpoint exposure or whatever you call it, to where it would, because otherwise the camera's auto exposure. It's got 3 different exposure modes, so that you can do like like zone or matrix metering. That's what I'm talking about, the metering modes. You can do like matrix metering, and then it's got center weighted, and then it's got pinpoint. I set it to pinpoint, and that way the table would be what was the exposure was set at. But yeah, I wanted to get it to where the radio wasn't as blown out, but it's still a white screen. This actually has a bunch of numbers on it. But yeah, I wanted to see what I could come up with. Let's see. Oh. Well, that wasn't the plan at all. There we go. Now, radios. All right, this is the chair that I'm sitting in right now. I have upholstered it with a bath towel and safety pins because the stupid faux leather decided to start like shedding the surface layer. Then I did a self-portrait, and of course I cut my head off. I don't know what that was about. Oh, I remember now. I was setting the timer, and I kept setting the timer wrong. I looked it up in the book and did it wrong. And then I found Teresa working in her home office. Got a photo of her. The cat on the porch. Of course, you got to have the gratuitous cat sleeping on the porch being lazy photo. And I think we're back to the beginning because it was the half frame that wasn't developed. Oh, cancel. Let's see. Yeah. I'll save that one rotated image. But if I zoom them out a little. That's what I got on that day. And that was just carrying the camera everywhere I went and then snapping frames of stuff as I saw things. So you can see how powerful it can be to just take a camera with you. Of course, I made it hard on myself taking this monster. It's manual focus, manual aperture, manual pretty much everything. Manual advance. But it will do auto exposure. Or, yeah, auto metering, my bad. And auto shutter speed. You can do that. But it was fun to just kind of, pick a tool and use it all day. Now, it did take me a week or two to get to sending off the film. That's why I'm just now talking about it. Let me go ahead and switch back and doing all that. But yeah, it's real contrasty film. I think I want to get a little bit different black and white film, and I might even get some portrait and shoot some portrait and see how that looks. If it ain't $20 a roll, get some color film. Love the Bronco in the background. Had two of them. Nice. Let me see. Oh, okay. That Bronco. Those are pretty cool. That's like the early 80s Broncos. Yeah. The ones right before them are the ones I really like. Those are cool too. But I like the ones from the late 70s. There's just something about those full-size Broncos like that are awesome. Good point. That looks fun, the photo of it. It was. I wasn't as involved. That's Ray. How you doing, Ray? Thanks for dropping by. I just now realized you was here. But I was kind of trying to operate as well as photograph it, as well as get video footage. And the video I put together has footage from, it's got footage from two different people's cell phones, my GoPro, and I just made a kind of a highlight reel out of all of that and a bunch of photos, still photos as well, so that I could put them all there in there. I like the photo of the guy looking stressed. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Let me see here. Close that. That's Virgil. Let me see. It should be right here. This one. Yeah. It's got I'm pretty sure it just appears that way. I'm pretty sure he's looking at the notepad and writing down information he's hearing on the headphones, but he may be stressed trying to copy the call sign. But yeah, I think that's a pretty cool photo too. I was really hoping them portraits of Sierra would turn out, but I misfocused. They still look cool. They'd make cool Instagram photos. Good day from Australia. How you doing today, Roy Bigsby? Thank you for stopping by. I got a whole bunch of people in here today that don't normally get to join the chat because they've actually caught the stream. This is cool. If y'all haven't hit the like button yet, do that. And if you want to hit the little heart thing on the chat, that does something for the algorithm too. Like a camera, knock on camera, throwing some keywords in there so the algorithm can pick up that audio stream. I'm trying to pick that up. but yeah, that was a really interesting event. And like I said, I'm going to repeat it, but this time I'm going to use almost 20-year expired color film and see how that goes. Now, Grainy Days, what's his name? I can't remember the boy's name now. One of y'all drop it in the chat. Ask Roy how he feels about rangefinders. Oh, I do have. Oh, let me get up and get it. I do have a Canon camera. Someone gave this to me, and it works. Let me remember how to turn it on. Where's the button? Oh, right here on the back. Let's see here. And then, yeah, buddy, that's a film camera with all the zoom. The flash pops up when you put it in auto. And then we can pick sport, or I think that means shade. Not sure what that symbol means at all. There's macro. It's got a flower. Oh, it's portraits. Okay. The flash stays up on that. On that. Oh, yeah. The flash closes by itself. Watch this. Off. It's pretty cool. It's called a Canon Z135. But yeah, I don't remember who gave it to me. But someone gave it to me, and it needed a battery. I put a battery in, it spooled right to life. Got a little digital display on the back, shows your frame counter. Pretty sure it's DX coded. Oh, there's the flash control, and there's your timer. They're under a little fold-down door on the back. But yeah, thought about using it. Sure Shot Z135. Guarantee you I can find the owner's manual online to that. But it's a lot smaller than the R8. Look at that monster. Yeah. And it's plastic, so it weighs, this is, I think, Dura Alloy Combat Chassis steel or something, because it's super heavy. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I stuck the battery in, came right to life. Gear Junkies in the house. How you doing tonight? He said, I hate TLRs more. DeWitt Hayes asks, what kind of steel cuts stainless steel? It's a good question. The steel is known as high-speed steel. It's an alloy that has, particularly, if I understand it right, it has cobalt in it as well as a lot of carbon, and it makes it very, very hard and tough. And then they make cobalt alloyed high-speed steel, which is even stronger. And then the metal I was using doesn't have any steel or iron in it at all. It was tungsten carbide. I was using these little, they call them inserts. They're little cartridges made for a tool holder that you just bolt on it. And then when it gets dull, you turn it to a new edge, put it back on it, and then once you've used all the edges up, I recycle them because you can sell the scrap carbide for a significant amount of money. Tungsten carbide is like $9 a pound a lot of times. And them little things add up over time. We'll put them in coffee cans, and a coffee can will be about 25 pounds. You know, I'll take 6 or 8 coffee cans to the scrap yard when I go. Randall Brander's made it. Your video, well, the review video of the adapter you sent me goes live in the next few weeks. I don't remember what day exactly. I went to Whitwell, Tennessee, and done a photo walk using it. And I need a different lens. The lens I used, although it worked, it was not the best lens for the job. But it worked. He got the job done. Ron Durant dropped in. How you doing? Thank you for letting everybody know. Gear Junkie scored a Sigma 10-20 f3.5 on KEH for $67. Wow. Hassan says, I've been chasing bokeh with the 26mm f8. Whole bunch of fail. Oh. But yeah, that's the kind of steel. I have a high-speed steel tool holder or turning tool that's on that job. And I use it to cut chamfers, which is little 45-degree bevels on the corners. And that's the only job it's currently set for. I've got it ground into this giant chamfering tool, and it's 1 inch by 1 inch square tool steel, which is enormous. A lot of times you'll get them and they'll just be like little 3/8 by 3/8 square. That's kind of a normal size turning tool. But yeah, the cutters I was using today were tungsten carbide for the most part. Been down the super wide angle rabbit hole recently. That's what Gear Junkie says. Wow. Ray says you just need a Z8 and a Tamron 35 to 150. 99% of street photography covered. Probably 100% because I wouldn't have any money for anything else. C2C says, I'm wanting that lens, Ray, and I would be complete. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'll bring you up to speed, Ray. I sold this lens adapter on eBay, and come to find out he had a Leica SL3, which is the next generation newer, and the 24-70E lens, and it would give him a communication error. So he sent it back. I gave his money back, and I put it on my 500 phase Fresnel and the SL2, and it worked perfectly. So the adapter's not broken. It's just it doesn't work with the newer SL3 apparently. So I'm going to use that and the 200mm micro Nikkor macro lens and that 24-90 Leica zoom lens, and I'm going to trade all of that in and get me my ZF and a few lenses is what my plan is. That should easily cover that and then some. Even at low ball prices, I should have well enough to get that stuff. But yeah. Heavy is relative. I'm used to sports lenses. Sigma 120-300 is heavy. Yeah. Gear Junkie said he started with a Tokina ATX Pro 12-24, and it was a game changer for him for a super wide lens. Randall Brander's I got the 35mm Voigtlander, which is a great lens. It has a piece of hair inside the lens. It is okay when shooting something that has a dark background, not when I am vlogging. Oh man, that's a bummer. I'd send it to Voigtlander. They'll service it and get that out of there. Everybody buying new gear. I'm trying to find 2 great EDC lenses and be done. Yeah, my camera bag's currently in the truck, but my go-to, yep, here it is. This is my go-to EDC lens for my CL. The CL is my EDC camera because it's small and light and it takes really good photos. This lens is the TTR's in 35mm f1.4, and it's in Leica L mount, so it'll fit directly on the SL or the CL. This lens takes stunningly good photos to be such a cheap lens. This lens is like $70. It's a crop sensor lens. That's why it's so small. And they native flanged it to the camera's flange distance, so there's no extra length added. It's just what you need to get it on the camera, and it's just, I mean, I've added this little lens hood. It don't come with lens hood. It comes with a screw-on lens cap, but that's the lens. That's a 35mm f1.4, and it takes beautiful photos. I use this lens regularly. This is the one I normally will carry on trips. This one or that 095 that I have. That's what's on the camera right now is the 095. This gives me like a 50mm field of view, and that's kind of what I'm used to shooting anyway. These are great EDC lenses. Now they're manual, everything. If you want autofocus, this is not your tool. But yeah, I don't care. I like the manual lenses. They just work. And they're well made too. They're all metal construction. They're just well done. TTR's that has become one of my favorite third-party lens manufacturers. They just make good stuff. Randall says the SL3 has the firmware update to fix the rewriting file issues when exchanging batteries if the camera is not completely being off. Good. I'm glad they finally sorted that out. That's a problem. Going to look into that since I'll put it on my S9. Yeah. Dude, brand new, Hassan. I bought this brand new off eBay in the box, still in the wrap, the plastic wrap. Hadn't even been unwrapped yet. And it was like $72 to my door. That was shipped and everything. This lens is a steal. I could not believe it was that cheap. And it is a f1.4. It's all the lens glass is sized for crop sensor use. The image circle is meant for that, so it's a lot tinier. It's just a little tiny thing compared to full frame. Roy says the 200mm micro nickel is a fantastic lens, but it's not easy to use. Yeah, you got to set it up on a tripod and spend time getting it square to what you're photographing. Like if you're photographing documents, it's a great document lens. Or if you were going to scan images with it, like scan negatives, it'd be great for that because of its resolution. I don't know how high the megapixel count can get and it will still resolve, but it was resolving 36 megapixels on the D810 just fine. It was not muddy at all. It was laser sharp. But I don't use it. It just sits there. That's the sad reality of it. Oh yeah, C2C's got to go eat. Yeah, I would eat lasagna too if it was looking at me. So I don't blame you. Talk to you later. Roy asks, is the fix by Leica or Panasonic for the file overwriting issue? It'll be a Leica firmware update. I always do all my firmware updates through Leica Store Miami. Their website is so well done that what's his name? Josh and is it David? I think it is. They build that website so well that they put the updates and link it in such a way you just click on the links and download it, and then you save it to a memory card, stick it in the camera, and it'll do the whole deal off of there. You go to the firmware version in the camera, and then you tell it look for a firmware, and it'll find the card and update it. It's pretty smooth. You like the power switch on the SL3? I get it. The soft button is the way of the future. because the camera is always on essentially. But having the mechanical switch, all my cameras in the past have had mechanical switches, and I'm just kind of used to it, I guess. What I liked about the D810 was the turn-on speed. It was instantaneous. Literally, by the time you moved your finger from the power switch to the shutter button, it was ready to take photos. That's not how fast the SL2 is on boot up. It is much slower. Red Dot Forum, yeah, that's them. I love their information. They are squared away, especially with their webpage. I've been to the Leica store in Miami a couple times. Me and Cuban Rum will link up, and we'll go down there and go see them. Matter of fact, I had this lens on my CL when I went in, and David played with it a little bit, and he liked it. Just to be a little bang around lens, he thought it was a great lens. They're pretty much purists though, because they sell it, so that's the ones that they'll choose if they can get it. But yeah, I like their live streams too. Their live streams are pretty cool. I like how Josh is he's got a little bit of OCD. You can just see it. He does. But he focuses it, and it's interesting to watch how he's actually, kind of steered that OCD. Like, he knows all the part numbers to Leica stuff. It's incredible. Fast power rate up is underrated. True. Because, well, let me just show you. All right. Now, let me refocus the camera on the back of this. There we go. I'll get the ring light off of it. Let's see. There we go. All right. Power switch is right here. Switch on. It's thinking about it. It's thinking some more. And I think it's done. Yeah. All right. Until you see that box, that's the shutdown time. But until you see that focus box show up, and it's there. SL2 is a slow booting camera. That's frustrating at times. That's why I leave it on. They tell you it'll go to sleep, and when it wakes up from sleep mode, it's fast. Because it just it turns off like the sensor stave and the displays, and the camera is active, but not, it doesn't use much power when it goes into sleep mode. So it'll run a long time on battery, but I like to just turn it on and start taking photos, and you just can't do that with the SL2. No one tests how fast a camera powers up. Yeah, they've quit doing that. I think when they got into the mirrorless machines, they're more computer than they are camera now, and they boot up slower. I think I was talking to Aaron last time he was down with his Z8, and the boot up time on that Z8 was pretty darn fast. I don't know how fast it was, but it was pretty darn fast. This old fool is so busy yapping, he just looked over my post. Hi, from Belgium. Hey, how you doing? I didn't see it. Let me look through the chat and find it. There's so much going on here. Oh, you're talking about why is the Nikon 200mm not easy? That's the last one I see here. It's just the depth of field when you're doing macro is laser thin, and you have to run really high ISO to be able to see in the daytime, especially at f22 or f32, and just stopping down that much just so you can get a little bit of depth of field. It's not hard if you're shooting product photography across the room, because that's the beauty of backing way up, is you get that compression of the subject, and and it doesn't bend it like closer focusing lens will distort the corners a little. Well, at 200mm you don't get that, so it's nice to shoot your product photography with a long lens. You know, it's just kind of a cheat code. But the 100 millimeter works on the crop center. That's 150 millimeters essentially, and I get nice clean photos with it. So, and it's smaller, lighter, easier to use, sharp. It does everything I want. So I don't even get that monster out. I haven't gotten it out of that Pelican case in probably a year. Sad to say it, but it's true. I just haven't. Let me see. Am I still in focus? Well, it looks like it. Right there. I leave it in manual focus because my Z50, I don't know if I haven't done a firmware update or something, or if I don't know how to set the video settings, but it'll hunt focus and it drives me nuts. So I just set it to manual, dial it in manually, and let it sit there. And since I don't move and I stay in pretty much the same place, it works. Ray's backup camera is a Z9. He has a pair of them now. Back soon, a black cockatoo is spying on me. That's pretty cool. Hassan says most Leica and Panasonic cameras are slow booting, but Lumix has acknowledged this and is working on to be better on future firmware and cameras. That's cool. Yeah, the CL is a little slow, but it's faster than the SL2. It's significantly faster. I think it's just because it's a simpler camera. It doesn't have IBIS to work with, so it doesn't have to load any of those algorithms, and the sensor is smaller, so it doesn't have as much information to process. I think it's just a smaller, simpler camera is why it boots faster. I've been naughty this year with camera gear purchases. Okay, thanks. I got one and like it, and indeed, manual focus is okay. It's kind of an investment. Yeah. I bought mine used off eBay, so I didn't get like the lens hood or the tripod foot. I didn't get any of that stuff. So mine's just the lens. It's a good lens. It takes stunningly good photos. It's not easy to use, and it's kind of heavy. I do like that the focus barrel on it is like 4 inches wide. You can get your whole hand on the focus barrel on the. Let me just get it out. There. Let's see here. How many of y'all store your camera batteries something like this? SL2 batteries. These are Z50 batteries. The CL batteries go here, but they're with the camera right now. And then all these AA's rechargeables and AAA rechargeables. And the GoPro batteries go in this container for my video camera. So I can keep up with where all my darn batteries are. That was like a game changer for me. But let's see here. Here we go. Come on. See how I say? Pelican case. All right. Inside the old Pelican case is a toboggan, a couple of socks that I keep things in. Hey, look at that. A micro USB cable. Might even be a data. No, it does have the tripod foot. It's built in. There it is. A lens cap, but yeah, it's a beautiful lens. And mine's actually not broken. This ring will routinely break on them, and mine's not broken. The one that's the manual auto focus switch that mechanically switches it between manual and autofocus, because what it's doing is it's switching out that mechanical drive system and disabling it so you can manually turn the barrel. Yeah. It does have the tripod foot. Good. But yeah, 200 millimeter micro nickel. That's all I got. I didn't get the lens hood or the case. It has a little case and all that. I didn't get any of that. It's lived in this Pelican case for several years. Oh, look, y'all have a whole lot going on here. Randall says, I have ordered 2 M42 adapters for the Sony E and Nikon Z cameras. I will be placing the Brussels Prix Mir 1 37mm f2.8, which will arrive first week in August after customs delays. So you ordered that overseas. Wow. Let's see. Phil got the Z8 this week after Canon announcement. Disappointed. Yeah. He's in the hospital recovering from daggum heart attack surgery, talking about how he's not going to get the Canon camera and instead get the Nikon. Oh, Phil will win. That's there. Ray, every time you're on, you have something new. You and Phil are in the running for the most bought new gear. Phil will win. Sorry, Peter. Wrong, David. Ray, every time. Oh. Roy lives in a place where everything that breathes can hurt you. Australia must be a fascinating place. Then Roy says, not true. Only the first 20 of the world's deadliest snakes live in Australia. Hey, I don't know if I can do it easily. It's going to be a giant hassle to figure it out on stream. I may make a short out of it and put it on my channel. Teresa went with her brother over to some land we bought, and we had a road cut in on it, and right in the middle of this road is like a 4 or 5 foot long eastern diamondback rattlesnake laying out in that road warming up in the sun. Big old huge eastern diamondback. He's probably as big as that mason jar in the middle. Enormous snake. They threw rocks at him to run him off out of the road. He just laid there. He's like, I'm king of the road. I ain't going anywhere. Ray says, but I have no kids, no wife, and I live cheap to fund my photography addiction. Oh. You actually have cameras that make sense, though. For what you're doing, you have the right tools. All that sports photography you shoot, I 100% agree with Z9s. 100%. Especially with that battery life. That battery life has me really liking that camera. He can shoot ludicrous amounts of photos with that camera before he needs to change batteries. It's incredible. Roy says the 200mm macro is the best choice for shooting bugs. Yeah, I've never really gotten into insect photography. I messed with it a little bit one time, but it's just I'm not patient enough for it. I just couldn't get into it. I always wanted to get photos of the little jumping spiders because they're cute, you know. And I've just never done it though. I got a friend that he lives up on Signal Mountain. He's got a bunch of photos of the little jumping spiders, and he doesn't even have like real high end gear. He's just got he's got some kind of a flash that he's homebrewed a reflector for. You kind of, if you watch Phil's macro videos, you'll see he's got this special flash that illuminates the bug, so you shoot flash with them. And that helps dramatically because you're stopped down to, f9000 so that you can get some depth of field. Yeah. Ulrich says that Liberty logo, I'm going to order one of those cool hoodies. Ron says he's out of the hospital. Yeah, because he's at home taking pictures of his pets with his Z8. Phil is the definition of dedication. Yeah. Ordered from the Ukraine, Russian lenses copied from Zeiss, which has the swirly looking bokeh. Okay. I have a, what is it? Dadgummit. It's a little, I've got a couple of them USSR lenses. One I have is just a little tiny thing. Actually, it's marked USSR. That's the reason I bought it. because I come from the Cold War era. Several of y'all are old enough to remember it, but I thought that was interesting to see that marking. And I did a video. It's an M42 lens. I did a video with my CL shooting it. It's kind of a crappy lens, but it was fun to play with. It doesn't have detents on the aperture. It just spins the aperture blades. So it's almost like a video lens. You know, video lenses have declicked apertures. So you got to kind of know what the aperture is. It's kind of weird. When you're used to having clicked apertures, it's weird. Canon dropped the ball this time. They have been getting beat up on YouTube. I need to watch The Art of Photography, see what Ted Forbes has to say about it, because I seen it showed me that he had dropped his video, so I need to see that then. Y'all got a lot happening here. I respect Canon for still making their own sensors. Yeah, that's kind of cool. 2 softball games with GPS on the phone, tethered, pulling every photo as a JPEG off to upload to Google Drive. Uses 1 battery. And he shoots, and he's not being stingy with the shutter button. What? How many photos did you shoot last year when you done your? He checks his Lightroom catalog and it'll tell him how many photos he's took over the year. What was that number last year, Ray? It was some kind of ludicrous number of images. Phil is going to California. I think he's done been. Pretty sure he's done been to California, Randall. I think that video is happened after the fact. I think he went out there and collected footage. When he got home, he built the video and uploaded it. I'm pretty sure. It might be. He might still be there, but I'm pretty sure he's now went and come back. Peter says, I like photographing bugs because they all look uglier than me. I don't know. Them little jumping spiders are kind of cute. One jumped on my arm the other day while I was on the porch. I didn't have a camera. And he crawled on my arm and then jumped off and went on his way. Roy says, the Russian lenses like the Helios are a great value, but be careful. Many have quality control issues. Yeah, it's a Helios 44-2, I think. Something like that. I got one of them down in the shop that I need to take apart and clean. And that was going to be a video, and as a matter of fact, let me just make a note about that. I use a pen and paper. There. Now I have my note. A new camera would won't make me want to sneak out of the hospital. Ron's leaving. Thank you for stopping by, Ron. Maybe you'll hear that. Sorry. That was 8:16. That was probably 2 minutes, solid minutes ago, too. Can't remember, but I'm at just over 66,000 edits uploaded to Flickr. Edits. Wow. John Larson. Thank you for stopping in. Sometimes you get lucky with the bug macros. I went out on my deck to see what the sky looked like. And there was a big old praying mantis on the deck rail. I've seen them here, and usually we see them when they're little tiny babies. They'll only be about that big. And there'll be a bunch of them around a light fixture where like they've all hatched and went over there to eat something, catch bugs or something at the light. But around the house, I might have seen one big one over the years. But when we went to Costa Rica, we seen them that looks like they got a leaf on their back. It's a praying mantis, but it's a different breed, and it looks like a leaf. They were on like the handrail of our resort, the room in our resort. I'd go out there to drink coffee, and he'd be sitting there, He was my little buddy. Because I liked him around because he ate bugs. It was really weird because he was watching you make pictures of him. Peter's getting off. Ah, that's right. He's in Europe. It's in the middle of the morning there. Good night. Thank you for the stream visit, dude. And if you haven't hit any of them buttons yet, hit some of them buttons on your way out. That'd be handy. Roy says, I only have a few Russian lenses, but had to send some back. Yeah, I've only got two. One's that little tiny, I think it's a Helios, but I don't remember which one. It might be a Jupiter. The one down in the machine shop, I think, is a Jupiter something. That one, that little one is a Helios 44, I think. I don't remember. Randall says the new power switch on the SL3, people confuse it when they turn it off because if you just press it, it turns it into sleep mode. So the camera's technically still on. If you press it longer and hold it down, then it actually powers down the camera. That's interesting information. I don't have an SL3, but that's good to know. He says, pen and paper, you must be older than you look. I just had a birthday, y'all. I turned 55. 2 more years and I would have lived longer than my dad. He made it to 56. Left this world. Yeah, I'm going to shoot that roll of film wherever I set it. Uh-oh. Maybe I won't. Oh, here it is. I'm going to shoot this roll of color film, and when I send it off, my daughter shot one of these disposable cameras, and she carried it around in her purse for about a week and just took pictures of stuff. I was like, that's gold. Definitely going to get that developed for her while I was at it. So it's going with this. Yeah, it's laying here waiting on me to ship off this roll of film. It's kind of neat. I haven't used a disposable camera in ages. Got a questionnaire from Leica, and I think the SL3 is coming. Nice. My favorite vintage lens, this is Ulrich, says his favorite vintage lens is the Auto Rokinon 55mm f1.4. Think it's from Germany. I believe it is because those Rokinon lenses are made by Ricoh, the same people that makes the GR little street photography cameras and all the printers and stuff. Yeah, it's Ricoh camera because I've got a Rokinon 55 or 58. I don't think mine's an f1.4 though. I think mine's an f3.5. And it took good photos. It's over there in one of them dividers. I don't shoot with it much. It comes out occasionally because I like to get out the vintage lenses and go play with them. It's a fun thing to do. But yeah, let's see. What are we looking like? Let's pull this up. Go here. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Huh. All right. Albert's in the house. How you doing, Albert? I wish Leica supported the S2 and S3. They quit supporting them? Wow. Isn't that them big, like, large format production or professional cameras? Oh, I see what's happening. Okay. That's weird. Alright. Zoom that down. There we go. Roy says modern autofocus lenses for work, old manual focus lenses for fun. Yeah. I mean, you know, when I do the product photos that I shoot them manual focus. And what I've learned to do is, I have on the CL, I have a button where I can press the button and it brings up the ISO menu, and then I can just dial it over to auto ISO, and it'll expose the image on the camera so I can look through the EVF and get focus. And once I've got it good and clean focus, I hit it again, dial it back to ISO 100, which is just one click over from auto. You know, auto, then 100, 200, 300. I click over to 100 ISO auto, and I've got those sync cable adapters. I think Ray was the one that turned me on to these. I believe it was Ray Soldano that told me this, that Nikon makes a little sync cable adapter that fits on the hot shoe of a camera. Doesn't matter what brand camera it is. I have one right here, matter of fact. Yeah. This thing is brilliant. This is on, that's a Godox AD200 Pro. So I've got a sync cable that plugs into it. It's just a 3.5 millimeter mono cable. And then on the other end is it has the little bolt-on sync cable deal. And then Nikon makes this little tiny device called a AS-15. And it's a sync cable adapter. It fits on the hot shoe. So you can put it on any brand camera that has a hot shoe and it'll fire the flash. So if you're doing product photography, your sync speed doesn't need to be 1/8,000th of a second. You can fire at, you know, if you're shooting your f-stop, you know, at 100 ISO and f11 or 13, 14, somewhere in there, then the image is a black frame anyway. So you don't have to really worry about like movement or motion blur. Then you just add flash power until you get the exposure. You just start dialing the flash up until the exposure's where you like it. And this thing works beautifully. This was like one of those aha moments, because I didn't have to figure out how to sync into each camera specifically or figure out wireless this or that. If I'm shooting thumbnail photos, the ones that you see of my lens reviews on that oak table, that's my dining room table in there. And there's been a couple of shorts go by or posts where I show what I've set up to take those photos. But I hand hold this Godox AD200 Pro with its softbox. I hand hold it over the table, and I just reach over to the camera and mash the shutter button and fire it. And, you know, and then I'll set it down, go look on the camera, see if I like the picture. If it's overexposed, then I dial it back a little bit on the flash until I get it to where I want it. But yeah, this thing is brilliant. So I have one I keep in the house right here, and then there's one down in the machine shop for product photos that stays down there, so I don't have to remember to carry it back and forth. Worth its weight in gold. I don't know what the N10 multi-grip is, or the DC2. Pam's going to bed. Good night, Pam. Thank you for stopping in on the stream. Precision Camera has the S2 and S3 on used list for sale in Austin, Texas. Wow. If you haven't hit the like button yet, do it. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get to a bunch of likes. Let me see how many we have so far. See if it'll tell me. Let me see. Tells me that. Says we got 16. Wow, okay, good. I was going to ask for 10, but we're past that. That'll work. All right. Ray says, I've always been curious about using flash, but I've come to realize I do better when I react to the light. Flash is a game changer, dude. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It literally is a game changer. You have to learn that you're taking two pictures at once. This is the part that no one explains well, and I'll probably do it here on stream, and we'll see how well it comes out. You're taking two pictures at one time, all right? If you want the background in the photo, you choose how well illuminated you want the background to be first. You shoot you set the camera for the background you want. Like, if I want the background to be darker than the subject, and so that they'll kind of stand out from it, then I'll set the camera in manual and adjust the settings till the photos coming in maybe a stop underexposed. Then you add the flash and you take a picture and you start turning the power up on the flash itself until it's illuminating your subject like you want. So you're taking one picture with the flash and one picture with the camera is kind of what's happening. Once you grasp that concept, flash photography is a game changer. Like I said, my thumbnails, I've taken them with flash with whatever camera. I've took some with the Z50, the SL2. I tend not to use the SL2 because of the 42 megapixel files. They're like 40 megabytes a piece for a thumbnail photo. It's kind of overkill. So I normally grab the CL or the Z50. Usually the CL, because the Z50's kind of made a permanent location here for the live stream camera. And I do in-studio video clips with it. I'll film a little piece of dialogue where I've got to explain something going on in the video or something. So it's kind of lives like this now. But yeah, it's really, that little widget is a game changer. And it's not expensive, because all it is a little wired contact. It's not even anything fancy. It may have a little piece of electronics in there, like a little opto oscillator or something, but not much. Phil's here. Phil Monroe. Hello, David. Hello, all. Wishing everyone well. Albert says, I love that David is showing black and white photos. I can go through them one more time. I don't mind. I have a whole bunch of Ilford HP5 I bought back in probably 2019 that I've been keeping in the refrigerator. I bought, it was cheap at the time they had it, and I bought it over in Asheville, North Carolina at Ball Camera. They had just got a bunch in, and I don't think it was on sale. It just wasn't real expensive, like $3-4 a roll. I bought like $200 worth of it. I brought home a huge sack full of that film, and I'm still shooting out of it. I've gave a couple of rolls to a couple of friends just so that, play with it and experiment, see if you like it or not. But I like it. I like it for just general photography. It's a lot of fun to shoot with. The low black and white images look pretty good. Oh, okay. I think I know what's happening. You're watching the stream and you're behind in time catching up, and you're seeing the photos. Roy says lighting is the biggest value improvement you can make to your gear. It is a game changer. Once you figure out how to work flash, it unlocks so many things. Like, there is no such thing as bad light once you unlock flash. Doesn't matter. You can literally overpower the sun and just put a 10 stop ND filter on, and then shoot with their back to the sun. It acts like a rim light. You can do all sorts of crap that you couldn't get away with before. Yeah. I played with it outside some. I did that using the sun behind the person and to create like a separation light, and then put the flash on them at like Rembrandt at 45 degrees and light them with the flash. Takes a lot of flash power to overpower the sun, but you can do it. I think I'd put more into it if I started to do more portraits. Yeah, portraits and product photography is where I see the biggest value. You can get so much, like you can do so much with product photography. Like I said in YouTube thumbnails, if you're doing product reviews, lens reviews, or just any kind of widget, I like the setup I've built for my lens review photos. I just kind of did them haphazard over the years, and then I finally decided I wanted them to be more consistent. And at that point, I decided to build a little kind of station on the table so I can go in there and set it up, take my photos, and then break it down in about 5 minutes and put it all away. I've got a black trifold black backdrop that you see the science fair kids use, the little trifold things. It's flat black. I stand it up on the back of the table, and that makes it fade into black. And I do that so that I have all that black backdrop in the thumbnail to write, so I can put the logo of the company of the lens or whatever. And then it fades into the table, and then the lens, and then I normally set whatever camera that I shot the video with, you know, the lens review with, just slightly out of focus behind it, so you can still see what kind of camera it is, but you can tell the focus is the lens. And sometimes I'll set the lens hood where it's visible or something, but I'll position them to where they're not crowded. You know, there's actually space between them, and then I can just start snapping photos and looking on the camera. Normally, straight out of camera is almost exactly what I want. I do very minimal adjustments past that, usually very minimal. Roy says the N10 multi-grip takes some of the buttons off the camera onto a handle. Okay, yeah, I had a knockoff. That's what Randall's talking about. All right, I had a knockoff made by Vivitar on my D810, and it had a lock switch on the shutter button. You could lock that auxiliary shutter button off, and it wouldn't allow it to fire. It looked like the power button, but all it done was locked out the shutter, and it had the buttons that you could reach with your thumb and index finger were translated down to that grip. So you had the command wheels, the front and rear command wheels, and a couple of buttons behind that. There's 4 or 5 things you could do there. It was kind of a nice little grip. It had a tray in it, so you could put a battery in it, and that way you could get 2 batteries in the D810. One would go in the body, but you couldn't do in-camera charging. So you had to take that thing off, pull that battery out of the body, charge it, put it back in, then put the grip back on. It's kind of a loser way of doing it, but it worked. It allowed me to get 2 batteries in the camera, and it recognized both batteries. It would show them on the display. Yeah. And I could shoot all day pretty much like that without having to carry a spare battery. I could shoot for hours on that thing with that battery grip on it. It was kind of nice. LED is easier to use, but I prefer D-Lash because I shoot product and LED isn't color accurate. Oh, flash. Prefer flash. Okay. You're talking about regular bulb flash. Yeah, now, that's something else I have one of those color checkers. And if I'm worrying about the color, like if I have devices or like if I'm shooting photos of the t-shirts or something, then I'll lay that color checker in there and I'll take a photo of that, and that'll allow me to confirm that the colors are right. You know, and normally I don't worry about like all of them. I'm just worrying mainly about the white and the gray and the black so that I get the color temperature right. Because, you know, like you said, it can easily be a lot cooler than it needs to be, especially with LED lighting in the office. My studio has LED lighting in it, and they're pretty cool. Albert says, I love David's live stream because I never know what to expect. He may go vintage, he may go modern. Yeah, I went down both roads a little tonight. If you read the descriptions of the streams, you'll notice it'll actually say, you know, I'll have 2 or 3 subjects that I primarily talked about in the stream, and then it says, and then we go down a bunch of rabbit holes. Sorry, my typing is crap lately. Okay, no problem, dude. Oh, okay. Randall says his video explains the two. The Nikon remote grip, the MC N10, and the MC DC2 switch using the Nikon Z6 III on July 16th. That was just a few days ago. Your upload schedule is ridiculous. It's just crazy how many videos you produce a day. I struggle to get one in a day's time, and you'll make like 8. It blows my mind. Ray says, 100% of the things I photograph have a no flash on camera policy. Some sports venues will let you use strobes, but in the rafters. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Like, you don't want a bunch of flashes going off at a low light venue where there's musicians or something. That makes sense. I'm just making sure I didn't miss something, because a while ago I was missing stuff. It was going by so fast. Randall says Rico made the Sears cameras and lenses too. I had a Sears lens over there. I might not have it now. I'd have to look. It'd be in the back of that cabinet. I bought a Sears, what was it? Sears Auto something. Might have just been Sears Auto, but it was Sears Roebuck. I know that Sears didn't make any of their own stuff. They had a lot of store branded product, and I remember that. I never saw the Sears cameras though. That was probably something that went away before I got old enough to really know about it or to notice it, because I don't remember ever seeing Sears cameras. So them have to be 60s, early 70s or something like that. It's like the Sears firearms. You'll see them in gun shows, or, in, like, people have them, like they used to make a lot of shotguns. But what they did is they didn't make them. They had them marked Sears and Roebuck, but they were made by, like, Harrington and Richardson or Mossberg or like, what was it? Crud. Can't remember the other company now. Marlin. But yeah, they would subcontract it to those guys. Savage Arms made stuff for them. But yeah, you go back through the Numerous Gun Parts Corporation catalog, and the cross-reference for all the Sears and Roebuck stuff, a bunch of it was with Marlin, and J.C. Higgins was their store brand. The J.C. Higgins stuff would cross over to Marlin a lot of times, or one of those others I mentioned. So yeah, they'd do it, but they'd do it under contract. Hey, I'm going to show you what my desktop background looks like. How you like that? Took that with the 55mm micro Nikkor on the SL2 at the North American Watch and Clock Collectors Association meeting a few weeks ago. This guy had all these Waltham pocket watch bodies. Apparently he had been repairing pocket watches for ages, and he just had them in a box for sale. Like, I don't remember, it was like just a few dollars a piece. All of these are broken in one way or the other and needed extensive repair, so they were all, steel birds basically. But you can see, it looks like you could probably put one or two together from all the pieces. But yeah, I thought that was a cool photo. It's just, it just looks cool. That's my desktop background right now. But I shot all that handheld. So I just ran the ISO up till it made it, gave me some shutter speed. Now I think it's 6400 ISO on that picture. But for a desktop background, looks fine. Dinner is over. I'm back. We have streamed so long that Woody has joined the stream, left the stream and ate supper, and returned to the stream after finishing eating. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I got another one that is a box full of watches. Let me see. It's let me see if I can find that folder. That happened in June. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Ah, here we go. Oh, Lord. Yeah, here we go. Oh, these are all with the SL2, so it's loading the... Let me show you how much this computer's having to think about this. As I scroll down, look as it populates the images. There was some cool stuff at that show. Now, these are straight out of camera. I have not done, like, color correction on them, as you can see. But there were some cool photos, like the Mickey Mouse watch. I thought that was pretty cool. I had to get that one. I got that one mainly for Phil. But what interested me was things like this little tiny engine lathe. I laid my phone next to it for scale. This cell phone, you can see, like, it's as big as my hand. That's how big that engine lathe is. It's just crazy how little this stuff is. But the background, there it is. It's this one. Yeah. You can see it needs to have the white balance adjusted. It's in them, the lights in that, what do you call it? Trade center. There were those mercury vapor deposition or whatever, you know, mercury lights, and they're yellow. They're real bad yellow. So everything has a yellow cast to it because it, plus there's a lot of brass in this drawer, you know. But yeah, I thought that makes a good backdrop. There's just a lot going on here, you know. And it being a 47 megapixel image, you can zoom in, you can see stuff. Yeah, see all that stuff, the different brands. That's a Bulova. There's another Bulova. There's a nope. That's a I don't know. I can't pronounce it. Croton. I never heard of it. Gruen, Bulova, don't know, Lahore, Elgin. There's just so many cool watches in this bin. Seth Thomas pocket watch. I've seen Seth Thomas mantle clocks. I've never seen a Seth Thomas pocket watch. Let me zoom out. There we go. Let's see. But yeah, I made that into a desktop wallpaper. I cropped it slightly and got rid of the cardboard on the bottom edge. But yeah, I thought that's a pretty cool photo. But yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff there. Thought this watch was cool. Look at that. It's a Breitling. I like these old, this is like a 60s era kind of aesthetic. You know, that's, and look, the winding crown's on the left side instead of the right. It's just a cool old watch. You know, it's a chronograph, but it's cool. I mean, I like that sort of thing. But yeah, there was so much crap there. It was incredible. If you're into watches, one of these shows would be worth your time. I'll jump back. Let's see what all has happened in the chat since I switched over. Carl Zeiss macro planar 50 millimeter f2 and f mount is wonderful. Yeah, that would be nice. 50 millimeter, I've got the 55 micro Nikkor, and it's almost too short for my usage. You know, since I'm doing, like I said, I shoot them for product photography, and that 100 millimeter is the right. I've got a 105 Nikkor, which is an early one, and it takes really good photos too. I use it from time to time, but it's big. It's an f4 lens, but it's big. It's just a huge lens. Compared to that little Pentax lens, it's just so much smaller and more compact. And it's a clear, it's a nice sharp lens. I just use it. Your watch shots need some flash. Yeah, I know. But what flash would have done is I don't have a diffuser. I was trying to eliminate the glare, and the lights had glare, and I didn't have a circular polarizer with me. Because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really anticipating going to the show. When I got there and they were allowing public, because it's a closed show for most of the event, they only open it to the public for a few hours on the last day. I wasn't expecting to need it, so I just didn't take my circular polarizer like a genius. Should have had it in the bag. A lot of those watches have cracked glass. Yeah, because those are all scrap watches. There must be some really good adapter rings among those watches. There's a lot of stuff in there. I think what people sell them for is for parts. Say you got one you're trying to restore, they'll go through them kind of bins hunting for a donor watch to get pieces out of. You know, get watch hands or a specific gear they might need. You know, a lot of times the balance in them older watches is it's floating on 2 jewels, and the balance isn't spring loaded, so it's very fragile. And if you just don't have a light enough hand, you'll break the pivots, which is the axle ends off of that little balance, and then it's ruined. So they'll rob them out of those other donor watches, say it's got something that's been broken or scratched or damaged in some way, then the balance is good. Well, that's they'll hang on to it for that sort of thing. But yeah. Incandescent lighting. Yeah, there's a lot happening. Let's see. Bob doesn't know that I'm live streaming unless he's in here and he hasn't said anything in the chat yet. I've almost drank a whole glass of water. I was trying to think what I was talking to somebody about doing. It wasn't just the ZF. I was going to get, I'm looking at getting a new editing computer. Old editing computer. Looking at not getting a new one mainly because they're so darn expensive now. This one, although it works, it's just kind of slow on the processing of the videos. Video editing is a pretty labor-intensive task for a computer. So I'm looking at getting one of these Dell network station machines that has dual microprocessors in it. You can get them for pretty decent money on eBay. I watched a YouTube video where a guy bought one and put it in his studio to edit with, and it, like, I don't remember the amount percentage, but it was a drastic change in like editing workflow. Like, he could go back to like using 4K 60 footage and it would actually not stutter and things like that because it had enough cores and enough threads to handle all that to where it could process the data. So I'm looking at getting something like that. This computer's been fine and it works. It's just that it takes forever to render. It takes longer to render the video than it does to play the video. So yeah, it's just old. And it's got, I think it's almost 10 years old at this point. And I'm running Linux on it. And it works. That's what I'm running right now. Works just fine. I can send you what I just bought. I don't want a notebook. I want a desktop. So, did you buy a notebook or a desktop? get the first typewriter word processor, and at that time was spelling checker, and I thought I was on top of the world. I bought a desktop. Okay. Yeah, I could put one together, but I just have to study all that crap and learn it and figure it all out, and it's just a lot of learning to do, and I just can go take pictures. John says, why don't you build your own computer for editing? At first, I was intimidated until I thought about it and realized it's the same as any other electronic equipment. And he's right. I mean, you get a few sticks of RAM, you get whatever. If you get a new motherboard, you get the new RAM. You get good quality, get a brand that makes sense, like Crucial Technology or something. Your microprocessor will be Intel or AMD. It makes sense to get a new one. And I have looked at some new ones. But man, they are just so expensive now. Dude, with them specs, that thing has to be smoking fast. That is some crazy numbers, dude. 6,000 megahertz DDR5, and you have 64 gigabytes of it. I think this one probably has DDR4, but it might be DDR3, and I think it's got 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a lot of RAM in it for some reason, but yeah, it's like I said, it's closing on 10 years old, so. The motherboard went bad in it here a while back, and the guy hunted until he found one that all of my hardware would work in. He found an original motherboard, and I don't remember if the processor went bad, but I know the motherboard failed in it. I don't remember what part, but yeah, it just died one day. And he looked around until he found some parts. It was $2,500 on sale. That's a lot of money. You're talking new camera money, dude. I was talking about the one I was looking at getting was $600. This computer exported 98 photos from Lightroom in under a minute. Good grief. And he's shooting Z9 photos. What are those, 45 megapixel? Crazy. Randall's got an M3 Max MacBook Pro. I don't know what an M3 Max is. M3 is that Apple chip, isn't it? And it's fast rendering. Yeah, it is. I know the M1 MacBooks, and so that's 2 generations older than yours, and they were fast. Excuse me. Wasn't breathing enough. 8K 45 megapixel photos. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I have nursed this thing along. And I'm running 3 monitors on this thing. Now, of course, they are just 1080p monitors. But, yeah, I have like a 27-inch here for my primary one. And then I've got a 24-inch Dell monitor up here above it that I'll drag stuff up to. That, like, if I want to pull photos in for editing in the video, and I just want to pluck images as I go and add them. And then I've got this little 15 or 16-inch... it's like a remote workstation monitor. It's a flat, it's like an OLED deal. And it's got it might be 4K, but I don't know. I'd have to check. But yeah, it's right under the screen. That's what I've got the chat on, so I can just look straight down and see the chat. Because I talked about that in a stream a few months back, and I was like, man, I need to check. And sure enough, you can get these littler monitors for pretty reasonable money. It wasn't very expensive. And it's a nice little HD monitor. I'm thinking about messing around with it with my ancient by super old 2015 MacBook Pro. That's my notebook computer. Yeah. It currently is a dual boot system. It has the Mac OS on it, and it also has Linux Mint on a partition on the hard drive. It's got a problem. The fans don't have any temperature sensing speed control. It runs wide open. The moment you power it up, the fans spool up to full speed and just run wide open until you shut it off. So it's kind of frustrating because, doing that runs the batteries down faster, and it's loud. So you have to wear headphones if you're editing video, because otherwise you got this fan noise, because they are kind of loud. But yeah, I bet if I boot it up right now, them fans will take off. Let's see. Okay, that's probably copyrighted. There they go. Yeah, you can hear them. But they'll run full speed until I shut it off. Oh yeah, it booted into Linux. I took that photo at the Great Smoky Mountains. I like that picture. Me and Aaron found that stream, and the steam was coming up off the water, if you can see it. I could dig it up. It's on drive 4 of my YouTube drives. I'll shut this down. It's not a touchscreen, David. But this thing's pretty handy. It works good. It's just that I need to put it in the shop and get that fan fixed. That's not a laptop. That's a drone. Because of the fans. That's a good one. Oh. Yeah. Okay. This 27-inch, you said that. Roy brought up a good point. He says, I'm using an LG OLED, but it's also starting to lose picture quality. The OLEDs lose contrast with age. The monitor at the top, the Dell, is like a plasma or something like that. And it's nice and contrasty and it's sharp. But this one right here is an AOC, and it's a LED display, and it's losing contrast. And I wondered about that. But yeah, it's got a lot lower contrast. And so that's the thing. So it's time to replace it, because mine's dying then, because it's getting kind of low on the contrast. Probably take it down to the machine shop and give it to one of them people in the office and get me a new one. Randall says, I still got two 12-inch MacBook laptops with the Intel Core Duo processors. Those sound super old. I have one of them original white ones, but it's so old that they quit supporting the OS, so I put Linux of some kind on it, but it was so slow it wouldn't run. It took so long to boot up that it was frustrating to the point of just didn't want to fool with it. And the battery was going bad in it, and I was just tired of messing with it. Dude. So you're running 3 monitors. Well, you've got a 4080. I have a little RX 6600 AMD graphics card. Phil's using an M1 Mac Mini. Yeah, that's a little box about this big, isn't it? But there's super powerful computers in a box this big somehow. Randall says, as you become older, you do not need 4K, but 1080p for reading the writing. Good point. A powerful CPU, RAM, and video card are essential for best performance. Other components don't need to be powerful to make an efficient video editing PC. Yeah. I've had a bunch of people offer to help me build one. I just haven't done it. And I don't know why. I just don't know why. I should. I really should. I just haven't. This one works good most of the time. It's just slow on some of the things. As long as I run 1080 footage, I don't have any trouble with it. And what was interesting was when it had Windows and I was running DaVinci Resolve, if I pulled in the 47 megapixel files from the SL2, it brought them in as full res images, and it would struggle to like scrub through the footage. You just struggle to scrub through it. But with Kdenlive in Linux, I don't have that problem. I can drop all the photos I want into the timeline and it'll work just fine. But yeah, Resolve had a big problem with that for some reason on Windows 10. That's what this machine, it technically still is. The hard drive's still in it. All I done was unplug the old hard drive, stuck a blank 128 gigabyte SSD in there, and slid it into the rack right beside the other one, closed it up, and then loaded Linux Mint on it and just went back to work. I done it the laziest way you could. I haven't been on Newegg's website in ages. Ray said, watch for Newegg sales. I forgot that even existed. And I remember messing with them years ago. That's a good point. Thank you. Randall says, I'm sending one computer to Peter Gregg, an i7 8700 with a GTX 1080 Ti. That's a fairly old GPU. I've got some of them. I used to mine crypto. I got quite a few of them 1080s. I have another one with this. I don't know what all this 9700K stuff is. I know what a RTX 2080 is. I had a 2070 in this computer, but it kept crashing. When it was on Windows, because then you can get NVIDIA drivers easily for Windows. Then Linux didn't have good driver support for NVIDIA till recently. That's why I switched it to the AMD graphics card, because AMD's drivers are open source for Linux. But yeah. And now NVIDIA is open sourcing their drivers. Figures. I got at least one or two 2080s. I got several 2070s, a bunch of 2060s. But most of my stuff is GTX 1070s, 1080s. I got several 1060s. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube explaining how, yes, but it doesn't demystify the nomenclature of the CPUs and which motherboards have the fastest throughput and all of that jazz. That's the big sticking point for me. I can't really see you. The ring light is so bright. I know you're back there. The wife just made it back. Come say hi. She went to Bible study. You have to be back here or you won't be in focus.
I can't. Oh, hello.
You look at the camera there. That's where they are.
Hello.
Don't look don't look over there. Look over here.
See what I look like on the. Who are you talking to anyway?
This is the chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's all the people. It'll start populating in a second. This is Teresa, for the ones that don't know. Most of you do know. Randall Brander's the fella that sent me the lens adapter that I made the video with. Albert, there's Ray Soldano. You know Ray. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Albert has been a follower of the channel for ages. If we scroll up there, you can see, if I get over here on the chat. You can see we've been at it for a while. There's been Woody Mallory and Ron Durant, some guy named Gear Junkie, Ulrich Christensen. He's the one I sent the camera to in Denmark.
We're having too much to do. I'm going to take my bath.
All right. They can't. Oh, okay, yeah. And she's gone. I have to downsize. RTX 2030. Now I have two 4070 Supers and a 4090. Wow. Hello, David's wife. Hi, Teresa. So here they come. They're on SSDs. SSDs do make a difference, and NVMe drives work really, really good. I'm thinking that's the way I'll go with the next one. Is I'll have a terabyte of internal, and then I like to have external hard drives, because once I fill them up, I can change them real easy. I don't have to tear my computer apart to swap them. Then I store all my YouTube video content and photos on those removable. I just get those lacy, the red ones. I got a bunch of them. I'm one of those classic YouTubers that has a stack of those external hard drives. But yeah. But I like the NVMe drives. Those are pretty nice. Yeah. I mean, assembling the PC is easy. I've done that. It's just like figuring out which processors and which generations and what threads mean and what's cores, and it's just so much to learn. I have learned so much crap. I just don't want to learn it. I want somebody to just do it. Oh. Yeah, that's something I do need to do. Ray says I'm going to put a NAS together for backup. I've thought about doing that. And I found out you can actually plug like a hard drive straight into your router. Like the routers I buy have a port to where you can plug a hard drive straight into the router, and it becomes network attached storage automatically. And then it's reachable by any computer on that network. I thought that's pretty smooth. If you was going to have like movies or something that you wanted to share with the whole house so that, they could play them in any room or whatever, that'd be pretty cool. See, Randall's already talking code to me. 8 core and 16 threads and then up. Laces are mechanical. Yes, they are. And they work great. There's 2 or 3 of them back there, and there's 7 or 8 in that bin. I have a whole stack of them things, dude. I don't fill them all the way full. I'll get them close, and then I'll get a new one and I'll date code them and I number them so I know which one's, the series, but that way I know pretty close to the age of what's going on, what's on them. And my file management has improved over the years. I don't know if let me see if I can find that. I can show you. I'll give you a little insight into my file management, because now it took me a while to learn this. Let me get this up here. All right, we'll switch back over to Mini-Me in the corner. I don't want David. I want... Oh, where's it at? I don't want home. Well, isn't this a fine mess? It's not taking me to the hard drive like I want. Let me see if I can find another one. Maybe it's under... Nope. Well... Oh, now look. I've done wandered all the way out into the Linux kernel. There's time shift. There's root. Oh, great. I done broke it. Oh, there's why. Okay. I didn't break it. I turned off the stupid sidebar. This. Here. Let's go to this one. Okay. This is ancient hard drive. And if you'll notice, it's just file names, random this or that, you know, backup from D810 card. And it's just like, it's just a list of crap. You know, there's no organization. It's just whatever. And I would just make a folder and stick it in here. Okay. At least the folders have names. You know? But nowadays, there is a bunch of ancillary stuff. But if you'll notice, 2022 has the months. And I think that's when I actually started this officially. And you can see January, February, March, April, May, and they go through the year. And if you open one of the months, all the videos I made for that month are in that folder. And then inside that, this one, well, this ain't a video. That's a photography trip. There you go. I have the video clips from the video, the audio files from my external recorder, and then the still photos. And inside the still photos, well, of course, the full length doesn't have any still photos. Well, let me go back to the Haynes reunion. It had what I stick all the raw files in a separate folder. And then I will sort through. When it's one of these singings, what I'll do is I will sort through the photos and I will cull all of the ones that are like out of focus or there's duplicates. Sometimes I'll take 2 or 3 of one person trying to get a specific kind of look. Like you can see right here. That's 1, 2, 3 of the same person, you know. And so there's one already still in the album of her. So I just take all of them and I cull them. Well, I don't delete the culls. I save them. I don't know why, but I do. And I think it's because it's just easier to drag them into the cull folder. And then later, if I accidentally culled one I wanted to keep, I still have it. And then you have your resize for Facebook. And what these have been is I've run them through a resizing program of some sort and down-resed them so that they're 2000 by whatever. I do them about 1080p resolution, you know. Let's see. Let's go to properties of this photo. 2000 by 1335. That way it'll fit on a 1080 HD monitor, and then, you know, so if you're looking at them on Facebook, they look fine. They look good. You can see if I open this picture, that looks fine. You know, and that's my organization now. So it makes more sense and it's logical and you can find stuff, you know. Everything that happened in July is in that folder. But for years, I had none of that. And it was just a ginormous mess. I didn't think of that system. I'm pretty sure, what's the street photographer name? That he's from Germany. But he's like, I think his wife is Japanese. He's a big GR guy. Crud. One of y'all think of his name. It's not Ulysses Aoki. It's one of it, but he's in the same kind of area. I can see his face. Darn it. But he talked about doing that, and I liked his idea, so I adopted it. Still here, yes. Hassan is back. Do you save any more to DVDs? No, I don't. I haven't ever burned anything to DVDs or CD-ROMs. I don't have long hard storage like that. I just have the disk drives. Yeah, I know it's not the best solution. It works. Ulrich says, I have to get some sleep now. Great to be here. Thank Teresa and Sierra. I'll catch you later. Good night, Ulrich. Thank you for joining the stream. Darn it. I can't remember his name. It's bugging me. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up right now. Samuel Streetlife. That's him. Saved me the trip. Yeah. But he has that. And he talked about at the end of the year how he sets up his hard drive for the next year by creating all those folders. And then you number them so that it'll put them. That's why it said 1 January, 2 February, 3 March. So that it puts them in order in the folder. When you open that folder for that year, they're in chronological order that way. And it just made sense. They've got those new DVDs. If y'all haven't seen them, they're supposed to hold like closing in on a petabyte or something. Built my own computer. My daughter saw me do it. Now she wants to build her own. Oh. All right. Let me check. How long have we been streaming? Let me just look. I can do it right here pretty quick. Let's see here. 9:20. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Wow. Yeah. These streams go quick, don't they? Excuse me. That's why I'm getting hoarse. Dang, we've had a good time. 2 minutes. That was a good one, Ray. In Australia, death animal time, about 4 hours. Oh. That's one thing about it. We have a good time on stream. We go over so much stuff every time. It winds up just being so much information shared in every single stream. Yeah, I got to go in here and see what Teresa's doing. She's running the blender. It's kind of got me concerned. Kind of want some of whatever she's making. Yeah, I think I'm going to hang it up, guys. I was only planning on streaming for like an hour. Somehow I've ran over 2. Oh, wait. John Larson asked, which version of Mint are you using? I'm using Cinnamon Mint 21.3. This version uses the 5.5.x kernel. There's an Edge version which runs the 6x. I'm running the Debian edition Mint Cinnamon. Let me see. Where does it tell that in setup? Let's see here. Is it under administration? Where does it tell which version of Cinnamon you're using? I don't know how to look it up in terminal. Do you know how to look it up? Yeah. Oh yeah. Still have a ways to go to beat Peter Gregg 7+ hours. Yeah, dude, that guy's a marathon streamer. No, it's a. Let's see. Maybe system reports. Let's see. System information. Here we go. I'm using kernel 6.1 dash 0.023 AMD 64 because that's what kind of processor I have. 64-bit, this and that and the other. GTK 3 point this and that and the other. 1 point Linux Mint Debian Edition 6 Fay. The base is Debian 12.1 Bookworm. But yeah, I'm using the 6.1 kernel. Version of Cinnamon, let's see. Cinnamon version 6.0.4. Yeah, here. Let me just do this. There it is. There. There's a lot of information here I don't fully understand how to read. There's monitors. Yeah. But, yeah, there it is up there. It's a lot of cool information. Roy says, saw those new petabyte DVDs. Not sure how reliable all those layers will be. Yeah, I mean, it's in its infancy, so you give it a few years, and after they perfected the tech, then you use it before it goes obsolete. What are you saying, Randall?
My AMD microprocessor is a Ryzen 5 5600G.
Not a 7800 X3D.
And I don't have a 4090.
I don't know what that means. Not sure. Not tracking there. Mine is old. Good night, Dave. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for joining the stream. I really appreciate it.
And close this window.
I've never looked that stuff up before. It was kind of nice to know it's actually pretty easy to find. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. It's been a lot of fun. If you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe to my channel and you can do all that stuff. You can buy me a cup of coffee with the link in the description. There's a link to the Buy David a Cup of Coffee doohickey if you want to do that. Oh, those are your computers. Okay, now I get it. I thought, I'm not reading that because it just says these specs. I was like, what's going on here? I don't fully understand what I'm saying. This computer stuff is way over my head. That's why I shoot film, scan, and be done. I got a roll of film I'm going to shoot. Super expired. 16 years expired, so we'll see how it comes out. David wants 10,000 folks. Yes, I do. At 10,000 subscribers, I plan to release a t-shirt. But I'm going to wait until I get 10,000 subscribers before I do t-shirts. But I have a plan for one. I just haven't moved forward with it. Good night. Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate y'all's time. It really has been a lot of fun. Yes, sir. Y'all have a good night. And this is David, the Georgia photographer. And I'm going to tell you to get your camera out and go take a picture with it. All right? We'll see you later. Bye-bye, y'all. Let's see if I do this right.